We can't build our future for our youth, but we can build our youth for our future. It's about empowering youth, one, to be the solution, because that's what we look at them as, not the problem, but two, to really be able to build their toolbox and be able to become resilient for themselves.
I have a curriculum called Love Notes that I teach, and it's about healthy relationships, kind of learning who they are, healthy ways to communicate. And we go into a little bit of sexual health.
So like they're getting more tools to be able to go out in the world and not just have a relationship with a mate, even just with people.
If you felt like your feelings didn't matter and nobody was listening to you, what would you do?
I would get mad.
You would get mad? Sometimes we're not always our best when we have big emotions, and sometimes we need that minute to slow down and to think.
I mean, I've seen some things in that book, like just as a person, I was like, I never looked at it like that before. You know, how do we really connect with each other with using these tools? So that way, when you do get in a relationship, you have more tools to work from. So I hear kids say, I don't want the relationship my mama got, but that's really all you know. I also like about Love Notes is that they get a chance to look at scenarios.
Hey,
What's good?
we need to talk.
About what?
Like, you've been so distant lately, and you've been talking to other girls. Like, what's up with you?
Swear, when?
When? What do you mean when? Like, ever since we started dating.
And that opens up a can, like, oh my God. That's a difference. That's why that Love Note curriculum is important, because a lot of our young people need that instruction. I know some adults who need to take the Love Notes training. Like, it's just really good stuff, and it makes you think about things a little differently in relationships. When I'm working on the Love Notes with my students, they're like, some of them say it seems very foreign because they feel like most of the things you know about love is supposed to be things that you learn from living it. And I was like, would you want a dentist to work on your teeth without having instruction? And they was like, no. And I was like, you probably have a better outcome, better ways of communicating. Because I look at the whole Love Notes training as a communication.
I mean, like, you know the guy I've been talking to?
Yeah.
Okay, so he hasn't really been communicating with me. I'm just feeling like he doesn't value my trust like that.
Have you talked to him about it?
I mean, like, not yet, but I really think I should talk to him.
I think so too. You want the relationship to work.
I feel like curriculums like the Love Notes is just really, that should be a part of, that should be a class period at school. I feel like every kid needs that, because I don't think we're really preparing young people to walk out in the world and be adults where they can communicate. And, you know, if they choose to fall in love, there's no measuring, like a realistic measure of what it means to be in a relationship.
Did you think about when you're thinking about a healthy relationship?
John Cena and Nikki Bella.
John Cena and Nikki Bella. But why? What about that gave you more of a healthy? What did they show? Was it?
Still married.
They're still married? So after all this time, they're still married, healthy, and it shows that they're happy?
Yep.
And you feel like that was a good representation to you? Okay.
And about 70% of the girls said they didn't want to be married. I said, well, why? Just, you know, just curious. And it's like, because marriages don't work. People don't stay together. I just want to have some kids. And I said, well, how many of y'all parents are married? Out of that same 70%? Like maybe 2 people. So it's like, how do you know about something that you never really experienced?
The first principle for a smart relationship is to seek a good match. Seeking a good match is important because you have more things to talk about because of those shared interests or hobbies.
Like the one exercise where if you pick the little red bead, that means you had a bad relationship, and it never ceased to fail. Not like I set it up that way, but they close their eyes and they always pick that red. I don't know if the red feels different than the white ones in the jar, but it opens up. They said sometimes in life you kind of picking people just like that. Like you didn't look, you didn't know it was red, you didn't know it was white, and it was smooth. You just picked it in the jar. Sometimes we do that in relationships, even though all the signs are there.
The second principle to a smart relationship is pay attention to values, to understand other boundaries and expectations.
We all are gonna try stuff. You guys are like, we get it. Like, we're not gonna make it up that you're not gonna try stuff or go do things that you're not supposed to. But pre that, if you feel like internally your gut feeling telling you, I don't wanna do this, like be brave and be strong and don't do it.
The third principle to a smart relationship is don't try to change a person into someone else.
You can change it and it'll look like they're a different person, but in actuality, they're always going to revert back to the person that they always were. And guess what? Now they feel like they've been coerced and tricked into being somebody that they weren't.
We prepare y'all for a lot of things, except for the most important things is how you communicate with yourself and with other people.
You never know how much a couple words could really impact someone. And they may not think of it in that moment, but maybe 5-10 years down the road, they'll remember, hey, there was this lady that was in my class and I think she said something like, and it just sticks with them. I always say my first role is I'm a mom of 4. I have 3 teenage boys and I have an 8-year-old daughter. Being a parent has been one of the most rewarding things and one of the most rewarding roles of my life. Growing up, I think about all the things that I wish I had, and I get to have those experiences with my kids, but there's so many kids out there who don't have that family support, who don't have those trusted adults. And so I want to be that person to be able to step in and give them a little something to take away that could potentially impact their life forever.
Well, I mean, if you put our value of youth first, we really look for partners that's the way they're doing their work, right? They come to the table and the conversations we end up having with them are around the young people first, and then more of the details of what's the contract going to look like, how much money is it going to be. But we've been in the community for 42 years and we have developed some amazing relationships. And really about 7 years ago as an organization, we started to look at collaboration on a whole other level.
It's called a men's leadership course. A lot of these young men, they don't have anyone that goes to college, anyone that is in higher education, so they don't really know a lot of the social norms that we practice in the classrooms, right? Someone college educated, well, it comes easy to them. Sit down in the classroom, don't throw stuff, don't speak out of turn. The classroom is kind of guiding them to make them aware of some of the social, emotional stuff that they go through.
A great person to work with youth is someone with just patience. I say patience and consistency. Like, you can't figure it out in the first time. I'm gonna let you know it just takes time. Legit, it's time and consistency. They want to see that familiar face that kept saying hi, that kept giving stuff, like just to show them that we care. Like, they're a person too, and they care that we can be the same level as them, that when they speak, their voice matters.
I actually came here to school freshman in '98. Felt like school wasn't for me, so I took a detour. But I was that kid that, throw stuff in the classroom, insecure, sent out a lot, detention a lot. So it was hard for me to adapt to the classroom environment. No one could guide me through the process of like, hey, this is how education works. You sit down, you pay attention. We had no one that graduated college or high school, so it was difficult for me to adapt. Yep.
I definitely think that at my high school that I went to, there wasn't much a representation of African-American men, especially. In my 4 years, I had one my senior year, and I still remember him by today. I still kind of try to keep in contact. And definitely having somebody who looks like you, that can relate to you, is completely different than someone who's trying to tell you what to do or how to live or this is how things goes, right? Because you kind of find certain common interests, but also like things that you went through, right? That kind of overlap with each other's lives, especially as, being a Black man, because there's already a lack of men in the education system as far as teaching and counseling, and even more when it comes to Black men. So it's like having that figure that can guide you and lead you in the right direction, but also be relatable to you, that understands, what you've gone through or what you're going through.
24 at the time. They asked me to fill out an application at Walmart and Target, and I couldn't do that. So I said, man, something has to give. And my mom connected me to a mentor. I think environment is a lot. So putting them in an environment, like today, for example, we had Miss Mariah, Mr. Ty, Mr. Corey come in, and some of the young men in the classroom were reflecting on the topics, and a lot of the young men shared out that they never knew that they could share their feelings on group level because there was never an environment for that. So, and I think for me, it's like me being put in an environment where I could share that with a mentor, it was a game changer. A lot of these young men, they just adapt to wherever they're at.
Of course, we have our curriculums, and those go through a lot of important topics, and they start a lot of important conversations. But we also want to incorporate those other elements that are going to be really important to the youth, and that only really reinforces those ideas and those things that we want to teach them that much more, and it makes them that much more excited, and it makes them that much more receptive to the work that we're really doing and the missions and goals we're trying to accomplish. The first artist that we worked with was somebody that we were introduced here at Blue Line Arts with our first mural, and that was somebody that we were lucky enough to pair up again and again with other mural projects.
This particular mural, I want them to put their own personal touches to it, and I want them to put their own flair into the mural. And even though everything's outlined a little bit of where it needs to be, I want them to build up details of their own style, and their details represent their identity, what they like. And that's what I really look forward for them to do, is to express themselves artistically.
She had the experience there already, and meeting with her in advance, because we're going to meet with anybody in advance and prior to putting them in front of our youth. She was really able to demonstrate that she was able to grasp the learning styles of youth and be able to converse with them as if they're a youth, and not, have their expectations or their vision of what this completed project is going to look like be at the forefront. It was really more so about them engaging the youth and creating those connections with the youth, helping the youth not be frustrated. And then, if there was something that, maybe they put the wrong color in a certain area, that wasn't a big deal. We're gonna support them through that issue.
And some may never know they had an artistic flair in them. So, and it's a part of them to also release themselves and be like, I can be creative, and even though I've never done it before, something new.
Just the way we communicate with youth, especially when there's something that goes awry, we want to always make sure that we connect with youth in a way that they're not feeling attacked in any way. We want to make sure that we're not communicating disappointment, really. We're coming from a growth mindset, and we're saying, how can we do this better next time? How can I support you? And that's something that we commonly get feedback on from youth about why they like the programs, is that the adults that we have in front of them and are communicating with them, they often say they've never had an adult speak with them like that.
I think some of the skills that the youth are going to take away is, one, that they can do this, that they are artistic, that they are capable. There's some students who's like, I can't do that. I don't think that I want to. But once they grab that paintbrush, we've had multiple students ask, can I come at lunch? Can I come after school? Can I do this tomorrow? They're really enjoying it. And hopefully moving forward, this might be something that sparks an interest of them, and maybe they will continue on their artistic journey.
When they're finally done and they're able to step back, it's this huge piece in front of them. That's kind of a beautiful analogy for a lot of what the teenage experience is in general. They're focused on their day-to-day and getting those immediate needs met, but our program is really trying to get them to take that step back and see that greater view of what they want and where they want to be in their life.